Hello and welcome to my new YouTube talk show, Sham Talks. We are at such a crazy time in our country and everybody's fighting and nobody's talking. And I figured, you know what? We need to talk. My first guest is one of the most controversial people on my Facebook. He fights with everybody. Everybody on my Facebook. If you've been on my Facebook, you've gotten in a fight with him. His name is Steve Mcgovern, and I decided it's time to talk to Steve. So we taped this like weeks ago. I'm just lazy and disorganized, and I finally am uploading it. So I hope you like it. Please watch, and I promise to give you more great talks in the future. Okay? And Steve, thank you so much for being a good sport. This is my first episode, first time
Hey, my
doing
pleasure.
it.
Thanks for
So I
asking
had
me.
to work out some technical difficulties. I'm not a scientist, as you can see. So I had to kind of figure this out as we go. And Steve has been such a good sport. So thank you, Steve.
Hey, no problem.
So for those of you that don't know Steve, Steve is an actor and he is a former chief petty officer in the Navy. So he has a military, or I should say Navy background. Is military, Navy, the same thing, right?
Military is, yeah, the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, Navy, Marines, Army,
Right.
God bless you. Thank you for your service.
No
Okay,
problem.
I gotta say that right
Pleasure.
off the bat. So Steve and I, after working on a film together, we were on a film called Dead Maker, directed by Steve Oakley, and it won an award and everything. So please, you guys, if you can look it up, find it on the internet universe, watch it. It's a great film. Anyway, that's how I met Steve, and we became Facebook friends. And through being friends on Facebook, I discovered that Steve and I are completely polar opposites when it comes to politics. Would you say that's about right, Steve?
That's pretty darn close to it. Yeah.
Pretty darn close. Okay. So I really think that there's nothing more interesting in life than talking to people that you disagree with. Because
Oh, terrific. Yeah.
how are we ever going to work through all this like crazy divide we have in this country if people can't sit down and talk to each other, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So Steve, am I correct in saying that you're a Trump supporter? Is that right?
Well, let me start off by saying I'm a libertarian, but I'm a constitutionalist. And yes, I did and still do support President Trump because I like the things he did while he was in office.
Can you tell me some of those things that you liked?
Well, I did like my tax cut. That I got to keep more of the money I made. I like the fact that he was able to bring some manufacturing, and I work in the manufacturing industry now. I'm actually a plant supervisor for a company that makes electric vehicles, go green. And being able to bring some of this stuff back from overseas from some contracts and deals that really didn't support the United States and the United States worker. I thought that was great. We had a huge increase in employment. We had a drop in unemployment for minorities, the Black community, the Hispanic community, all record low unemployment.
I got to ask you though,
Sure.
based on where he's saying that, because he repeats that all the time. Like I constantly hear him repeating that and
Right.
saying that, but I don't really understand where that statistic is coming from.
It's coming from the government itself. I forget which department does the statistics on. Oh, labor statistics. But yeah, you can just Google it and look it up, and it's right there.
And why would that be attributed to him and not just the simple fact that, we're progressing as a society, and also there's more population like now than ever. So all the numbers are higher. Like when you look at the election results, which I definitely want to get into a discussion about the
Sure.
election with you, but when you look at the election results, more people voted than ever. I don't think that can be attributed to any. Well, there's a couple things that could.
Right. Well, you look at under the Bush
Population
administration.
has something to do with it.
Yeah, right. Under the Bush administrations and the Clinton administration, nothing changed. Under the Obama administration, that actually unemployment increased.
I didn't
over
see that.
over 8 years.
I don't go by
There was-
statistics and polls. I don't go by. I go by what I see. And
Yeah, well, you have to
during
go
the
by.
Obama administration, I saw everybody working. I saw everybody in the beginning. I saw a disaster thanks to Bush. I saw that Bush had ruined the economy, and that when Obama somehow took office, all these small businesses started to come back. I started seeing the rebuilding of downtown, all this, amazing stuff happening. And now it's all gone to hell thanks to the mishandling of the pandemic by the current administration.
Well,
I'd like to
the
know what's coming out.
pandemic is something that's worldwide. Was not caused by the United States. It was an outbreak in China due to their strange
What's so funny?
cultural
You know what's so funny, Steve?
practices.
Every time I bring this up to a Trump supporter, and I have a lot of friends, by the way, who supported Trump. I don't dictate, my friends by their politics.
Right.
I'll have a discussion with anybody. But every time I bring this up, the first thing they say is exactly what you did. Well, it wasn't,
But that's true.
Administration.
But that's the truth, right?
What is the fault of the administration is how it was handled. Okay.
Well, it's fine to Monday morning quarterback when you're not right there in it. It's something that hasn't happened in, since the 1800s, where we had a worldwide pandemic, and you look and see how they had to react to that with the less technology that we had today. I hear a lot of, like I said, armchair quarterbacking from specifically the media.
It's not armchair quarterbacking. It's
all the statistics and all the experts were wrong.
Let me just
with
get
everything.
This out. Let me just get this out, okay? So here's where because I don't just want to say it was mishandled without saying how. So the first thing that I would say is testing, okay? When it happened, there was no like all the focus should have been on testing. Any FDA regulations that prevented testing from being made or happening should have been like reversed or thrown out the window. If he's so much all about reversing regulations, why didn't he do that? Because when the pandemic started, we were manufacturing tests here that were being sent overseas. What's this quote unquote America first stuff when we're doing testing for other countries and not helping ourselves? That's just the first, okay? Then from there, since we didn't have testing or anything, to go around like a fucking lunatic and tell people not to be, that it's a hoax, not to be afraid.
There we go. So let's clarify something on that. You have to go back, and this is what I tell all my liberal friends, and look at the exact quote that he said. He never ever stated that the virus itself was a hoax. What he did state was that the Democrats were using the virus for political reasons, and that is a hoax. That is what he said.
It doesn't. Nobody is sitting there and dissecting the president's words to say.
Yes, they are. The media does it every single time he opens his mouth.
His attitude.
So what? Who cares about his attitude?
He didn't do anything.
Who
cares about Steve? You know what's so amazing?
I don't wear a mask when I don't have to.
I agree. That's something we may actually, because I have a libertarian attitude in a lot of things. I don't think that the government needs to tell me how to protect myself. It's up to me to protect myself. And if somebody wants to wear a hazmat suit, they're welcome to. But for me to have to be forced to put that diaper on my face all the time and to do that to employees that work 12-hour days, I don't think that's fair whatsoever. I think that people should be welcome to protect themselves however much they want, but to each their own. If you want to assume a risk, then it's on you. So I think we would agree with that.
Yeah, we agree with that. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So there's some things we probably agree with.
So here we have
Trump out of the equation.
So let me throw this at you. We have an unknown virus that's never been seen before. Okay, how are you supposed to react to it? The FDA has nothing to do with it. What does have to do with it is the CDC. The CDC advises the president on courses of action that he needs to take. And
he dismantled the CDC, from my understanding.
No, he didn't dismantle the CDC. He only dismantled a portion of it that really wasn't doing anything.
It's like, Steve, it's like he can never do anything wrong in your eyes.
Well, no. There are things he's done wrong.
This is what's so
or I won't say wrong. I will say maybe he's. See, what you got to do is you got to say, I can. So let me ask you this. We had 3 years of a impeachment process. Please explain to me one crime that he committed that is an impeachable offense.
Bribing another country for.
When did he bribe the country?
On the phone. He was negotiating a bribe with a country.
No, he wasn't. Like Joe Biden did?
Okay, Steve, let me just get this out there.
That's not a.
Let me just say something. Let me just say something, okay? It seems to me that exactly
I'm
what
speaking.
Trump, let me get this out there,
Okay.
Steve.
Okay.
Let me say this. Let me say this. It seems to me exactly what Trump himself said. He could stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and you would defend him. And not just you,
No,
all
no,
these other Trump
that's
supporter friends
against
that
the
I have.
law. That's against the law.
But Steve,
There was no bribery.
it's
There was nothing that was found in any investigation where he bribed anyone.
of course there was. Of course there was.
Define bribery.
Steve, why is he?
Use the legal
Let
term
me
and
ask you this.
define bribery.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this very simple question now, because
Sure.
I think I think when you look at this is very revealing. Why is Trump right now asking for preemptive pardons for him and his family and his lawyer?
Who
Why,
can
if
he
he's
ask a
so innocent?
preemptive pardon from? Joe Biden? That's the only one who can pardon him. He can't pardon himself. The president can't do that. It's not within his constitutional powers. So there's no way he can pardon himself. He can pardon anybody else he wants under the Constitution, but he can't pardon himself. The only one who can pardon him would be the next president. And I don't think that's going to happen because, number one, he hasn't committed any crimes. Nothing under the law and nothing under the Constitution has he violated.
And let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because
Sure.
this to me is another very interesting thing about the way Trump supporters act. Okay, when presented with clear evidence. Okay.
Sure.
Jeffrey
Okay, now
Epstein.
you're going to have to qualify that evidence when you state it.
It's very easy, this one.
Okay.
Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Now, how come, right? How come if Bill Clinton is so involved with Jeffrey Epstein, I can only find like one picture of him and Jeffrey together? With Trump, it's like picture after picture after picture. And then the shady madam, the Ghislaine or whatever woman, there's pictures of him and her everywhere, like they're best friends. What do you think that's about? Like,
I think it's a billionaire who owns a bunch of hotels and resorts, and these people like to be around him. You notice that before he was a president, or even considered running as a president, all these Democrats that are now stabbing him in the back and stuff like that were his best buddies. You know,
Steve, the reason that they're
because he was a Democrat at the time.
The reason that you see that people are stabbing him in the back is because he's destroying the country.
How?
And he did
how? Yes, explain
Steve,
how.
Look where we are
evidence.
now. Just
give me
let's
evidence.
Let's just look now. Look around. Is your life better now than it
Oh
was?
yeah,
4
it is
years
definitely.
ago?
Yeah.
It's you. Okay, well maybe you're one of the few. You're one of the few people, I would say.
I was unemployed for 7 months. And now I have a new job, and
I don't even recognize the country anymore. I walk around. I see.
I see people rioting in the streets for no reason at all. I see people burning buildings. I see people shooting people because of their political disagreements.
And where do you think
that is coming from? Where? It's not coming from conservatives. It's not coming from libertarians. It's not coming from Green Party people. It's not coming from Republicans. It's only coming from one side. And that's the liberal Democrat side. Look at Portland. Look at Seattle. Look at all that stuff. Those weren't conservatives doing that.
See, you weren't Trump supporters. You seem like a smart guy to me. Okay, well, you do. You genuinely seem like a smart guy. Okay, so you must know a thing or two about history.
Oh,
Every time in history that there has been the type of person in charge, like Trump, okay, where they're a nationalist and they're divisive and they're basically a dictator.
He hasn't been divisive. The people who have been divisive.
Trump hasn't been divisive.
Trump
hasn't been divisive.
What has he done
that's divisive?
Explain to me exactly what he has done that's been divisive. This is something that no liberal has ever been able to explain to me. Give me the facts and give me the evidence of what he has done to be divisive. He's done nothing. The media has done it all. It's all that propaganda they've put out since he took office. Day one, when he swore his oath, when he walked down those stairs, he was lambasted. You had an administration spying on a presidential candidate and an American citizen using a false dossier that the guy who wrote the dossier said was wrong and not factual to gain a warrant, a FISA warrant, something you have to go before a judge to do that, which ended up in probably the worst impeachment process in the entire history.
So, okay, so there's so much to unpack there that it's quite, it's quite a lot that you said. So let me just
Sure.
start, okay? So you said, how can we, show me some proof that Trump is
Right.
divisive. To me, there
Evidence.
is no greater proof than to open your eyes and look at the world around
I'm
you.
sorry.
Let me finish talking.
Sure.
Let me finish talking, Steve. Let me finish, and then you can talk, okay?
Okay.
Open your eyes and look at the world around you. I have never, in my 40 years as an adult living in America, born here, have I ever seen people more divided and more hateful and more dangerous, frankly.
Sure.
To say that all that hate was just stirred up on one side is completely like you need to go to the eye doctor and have your eyesight checked, because how are you just only seeing one side? And to me, the answer to that, how are you only seeing one side, is because you have been seduced by this horrible leader. Okay. And let me just say,
Sure.
I have empathy actually for that, because I'm so embarrassed to say this, but I'll say it because I really believe, like, if people aren't honest, they'll never be able to, will never be able to like really understand like the times we're living in. For a little while, like a couple months, like when the pandemic started and like, I started like going down this rabbit hole of the internet. Okay.
Right.
I started believing this insanity, like QAnon insanity. Okay. Because I'm will gladly admit, I'm not a scientist. I'm easily gullible, very gullible, and I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree. Okay. I know who I am.
Right.
So I was easily fooled. And then after like 2 months I was like, well, Trump's the hero. He's going to save everybody. And then I started thinking like, oh, everybody's so stupid and only Trump is smart and all this stuff. I got seduced. I got like totally brainwashed. And it took me like, and privately, like I would tell people like, oh, you just don't know. And I would have these conversations with people privately, like seriously, I would. Okay. And then I just did the littlest bit of research, like the littlest bit. And I found out that 90% of these claims are just based on like very loose history. And then they've like turned it into like some Dungeons and Dragons storyline that's just couldn't be real. And then I find out that the real child trafficking organizations that are really trying to help kids, it's like hurting them. They're having to put on their website like, don't call us with your ridiculous like, blood eating conspiracies, because this is a joke and we're really trying to help kids. So it's like, I didn't want to be a part of that. And then I realized like how easy it is to be seduced into a way of thinking. And I really think, Steve, like I hate to tell you this, but you're a smart guy. I really think that, because everything you said after we talked about you wanted some proof of where the division is, everything was a talking point that had been like, that seems to have been like drilled into your head by conservative media. And you say that the media is so bad and that it's so this and that. Well, my point is that you've been seduced and brainwashed, but to some extent, to think that all of these things, and to think that like Obama was spying on Trump. I mean, it's ridiculous. Where's the proof? Show me the proof.
The proof is in the dossier that was presented to the FISA court, that was bought and paid for by the.
That's the Strzok and
campaign.
Page thing. That like Strzok and Page.
No,
dossier.
no,
Okay, so
that's those are the emails, the Strzok and Page emails that said they were going to do everything they could to get him out of office. For that, that came out later during the investigation. This was the Steele dossier from the.
The Steele dossier. Okay,
he was an MI6, former MI6 agent, which is a British secret agent, basically like our CIA, and he was paid to put together a opposition paper, basically, is what it is. It's like a what if. But what happened is that dossier was taken and actually run, with the help of John McCain, who was our former senator here in Arizona, as being factual and used to obtain a FISA warrant in order to wiretap and investigate an American citizen, first of all, which violates the Constitution, and a presidential candidate.
So where are these wiretaps? I'd like to hear them.
Well, you have to go back and you're going to have to read through all that report,
I just want
the
to hear
Mueller
one wiretap.
the Mueller report. I don't have a specific wiretap, but if you go and read the Mueller report, all of that is in there. Okay, when they came out with that report that the Democrats were saying this is the nail in the coffin, it turned out not to be, and it turned out to say that there was no wrongdoing here. So
No,
the
it did
only,
not.
do you know?
No, it did not, Steve. It did
It
not say
did.
there's no wrongdoing. It
It
said
did.
it is not Mueller's job to say whether there's wrongdoing or not. He presents the facts, and then it's up to them to prosecute. And they
Right,
did
but
not.
that's not what happened. He came out and said that. So did the person that investigated Hillary Clinton in
James
2000.
Comey.
Yeah, in 2016, he said, well, there's not enough here for us to prosecute, so we wouldn't prosecute it. That's not his decision to make. That's for the courts to make. It's not for the FBI director to make, no matter what his political viewpoint is. It's not his job. It's unconstitutional. Like I said, I'm a constitutionalist and I go by the rule of law. So I look at,
What do you think of guns?
Huh?
How do you feel about guns?
How do I feel about guns?
Uh-huh.
Like
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I have my concealed carry and I carry.
Why?
Because
what are you afraid of?
I'm too old to punch people out.
But like, what? I don't. Okay.
Well,
so
look,
you're
look
clearly.
again.
Wait, let me see that again. Let me see
Sure.
that again.
Sure. It's a Walther PPK at 380. This is my small gun. So it's just one of the ones that I have.
Steve, okay. I feel that all guns, even though I am a libertarian, I feel that all guns should be banned and nobody
Well,
should
you have a
guns.
right to believe that, but according to the Constitution, we have a right to have them. You have a right not to have one.
Yeah, I
That's
don't.
perfectly
I don't
fine.
like them. Guns
You don't
freak
have
me out,
to.
and this is what I think of guns. I would first of all,
Yeah,
would
you
be
were kind of freaked
terrified
out
to
in the
have-
film when we came in with all those weapons and stuff like that.
What's that?
Remember in the film when we came in with all the weapons and the
They were
scene
fake, weren't they?
Well, yeah, they were fake, somewhat. Yeah, they did fire little pellets if they
So
were.
for those of you guys, so you know what we're talking about, when we filmed this movie, it was like a war scene and we had all these guns and stuff. And I do remember holding one in the scene. I kind of remember that and taking
Right.
but I genuinely am petrified of guns. I would never, even if I was in a situation where someone was going to kill me, I don't think I could kill somebody. I just don't think I could pull the trigger.
Well, not everybody can. And you know what? That's not a bad thing. And I totally respect that. I mean, I taught martial arts for 40 years.
I'll just say at the same time that I think that like, why are you, when I say, because I've even like dated guys that have like gun collections and stuff, and they're like really into guns. Okay. So I had a Marine boyfriend that was like really, really into guns. And he was the same like you, like he carried it and stuff. And I was terrified about, first of all, because of that. And then second, that's just a crazy way to live life. Like you're thinking somebody's going to kill you all the time. I mean,
well, no. I don't think somebody's going to kill me all the time. If I would have thought that, I'd really be paranoid because there's plenty of people in the world that I have, I guess, pissed off in my military career and doing my job that would probably want to come out and kill me. But that's not why I carry. I carry for a couple of reasons. So let me explain these reasons. One, I have a constitutional right to do that. Two, I've passed background checks and have had extensive training in how to use a weapon and diffuse situations. There's an adage I like to say, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. It's not to protect so much me, because I don't need this really to protect me, but to protect you, maybe I do.
Steve, I think I totally respect, like with a lot of things, with even with your like unreasonable love for Trump, I respect.
Well, it's not. It has nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the processes. Like I said, I'm a constitutionalist and I follow the rules of law. When I see them being violated, then I take a stand. Well, so just because it's President Trump, I was upset when Bernie got shanghaied, by Hillary Clinton.
Look, as a citizen of this country that was born here, I love nothing more than my freedom of speech and freedom of thought and freedom of opinion. So I totally would rather that people have the right to believe whatever, of course, they want and say
Right.
even whatever they want, no matter how strongly I disagree. Whoa, wait, this thing, hold on.
Sure.
That
Yeah.
was the headphone. I need that.
Right.
But yeah, no matter what I think about it, I think that people should have the right to say it. So, Steve, I would like to know really what you think about Joe Biden winning the election.
I don't think he's going to last a year. I think Kamala Harris will be president within a year. I think Joe
But do you
Biden.
accept the fact that he won?
I won't accept anything until actually the final date when they say, okay, he is the president. Right now, there's no such thing as a president-elect. There is no office of the president-elect. There wasn't one when Trump was elected until the country is certified and all legal processes have been completed, all challenges have completed, and they declare a winner. I have no problem with it. I really don't, because the country is going to do what the country does. We've had good presidents, we've had bad presidents. We've had, look at Woodrow Wilson wasn't the greatest president. Okay, so let me clarify something first. I did my PhD work in history. So I'm a historian. So I kind of look at some of these things, So we've had good presidents, we've had bad presidents, we've had mediocre presidents. We always will. Okay. The important thing is once we have a president, we need to stand behind them, regardless if you agree with them or not. I can disagree with everything Joe Biden does if he is the president. But you know what? Just like I did with Obama, just like I did with Clinton, just like I did with Bush, I was in the military at the time. I support the president.
So, Steve, let me ask you this, okay?
Sure.
Since you are a PhD, Dr. Steve, and you're very
well,
smart.
I did my PhD work. I haven't received my PhD yet.
Well,
so.
that's a lot more than I did. That's a lot more than I did. So, Steve, I just got to ask you. Then you, since you are, an intelligent guy, you must surely agree that there's nothing more unpatriotic and disgustingly un-American than undermining the results of a democratic election, like President Trump is doing right now. Do you
What
agree?
happened? Well, I would agree because it past 4 years under the Trump administration. His entire presidency was being undermined. And, from day one, when that started, I didn't agree with that. And if it happens underneath a Biden administration, when somebody's trying to undermine the president, I'm not going to agree with that either. As a libertarian, and like I said, a constitutionalist and someone who follows and abides by rule of law, those are the things I make my judgments off of. When we were in the military, we swear an oath to protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It doesn't say we protect the president. It doesn't say we defend the president. It doesn't say we defend Congress, and it doesn't say we defend the Senate. It means we defend the Constitution, and I take that deep inside. So if for some reason, let's say the Republicans get Congress and get the House, and we have a total flip-flop of the last 4 years, and they're going to do an impeachment process. Unless they're going to do it as per the Constitution and the rule of law, I'm not going to go with it.
Okay, so Steve, what do you think of all these conspiracy theories that Giuliani and the president are throwing around? Do you believe that this was a fair election?
I believe, here's what I believe about the election. I believe dead people can't vote. And I don't believe they all vote Democrat. I believe the over 200 sworn affidavits from poll workers that say there were irregularities in the election. I have to believe them because they signed a sworn affidavit. So if they falsify that, that's 20 years in prison. I don't think people are, over 200 people are going to willingly, put their lives in jeopardy for 20 plus years in prison over a conspiracy. I think anytime that you have even just one instance of an irregularity, the post office backdating ballots being trucked in from other states into another state to be counted. I think you have a pretty strong case for a fraud claim.
Okay, so Steve, it sounds like you agree that there was supposedly something fishy somehow about this election, but not the other
Oh no, I didn't
44
say
elections
that.
we've had in the.
I said when dead people have been voting for every election I've been in since what 1970, 1978. So I've been voting since 1978, and there's always been dead people voting, but nobody has never taken it to task. I mean, Hillary Clinton could have done the same thing rather than
Why, if there was all this, if there was all this cheating, right? What, by 6 million votes he lost. It's not by like 3 votes. He lost by
Right.
6 million votes.
Yeah, we had over
there would have to be
600,000 ballots
some
here
insane level of mass cheating for that to happen. That was irregular to any other election. And if indeed the Democrats had this secret cheating system, why the hell didn't they just do it last time in 2016? Why didn't they just do it in every election? Why have we ever had
I think it's because if you look at the 2016 election, they thought they had it in the bag. Hillary decided not to campaign in the states that shot her in the head, basically. All right, because she thought she just had it nailed, and that wasn't the case. Now, by the law and by the Constitution, she could have challenged the election, but she didn't. She has a right to. President Trump has a right to. If it turned out the other way around, where Trump was the president-elect, Joe Biden has the right to challenge the election as per the Constitution and the rule of law. Okay, but so what we're seeing here is actually how the process is supposed to work.
It's so funny because a lot of your defenses are he has the right to do it.
Yeah.
Well, no, he has the right. Like, you say like he has the right to, right? But as president, I would think somebody shouldn't act like a clown, even if they have the right to. And to me, this is some clownery to go around and say when if I had lost by 6 million votes and lost by I don't know how many electoral votes, to go around saying like that there's some cheating going on. That is ridiculous clownery from the highest office in the land.
Let me give you an example. Here in Arizona, we had all of a sudden 600,000 ballots show up within an hour of the polls closing. 600,000. Okay. Out of that 600,000, only 3,700 were cast for Trump. Okay. That's an irregularity. That is something that should be examined. Okay. So what you see, and you look at Pennsylvania, this is where you had these, a couple of 100,000 ballots trucked in across the border from 3 other states. You had
I don't know about
Wisconsin.
I don't know about these specific things, but I do know.
Well, you should. I mean, that's something you should look at.
Steve, most of these claims that you're saying that I don't know the specifics, right? But I know that most of them have been taken to court, and most of them have been thrown out of court because they're not.
That's the process. And that's the process.
And now we're at this point where almost all the states that were being contested have thrown it out of court. I mean, the only place left to go is the Supreme Court, and I don't think even they would waste their time, even though they were mostly.
And they have the option to not hear the case. If that's the case, and they say no, there's not enough evidence to show this, we're not going to hear the case. It's done and over with, and then they have to go ahead and validate the election. That's the process. That's all there is. It doesn't matter who's president. Each president, each candidate, has the constitutional right to challenge election. That's at every level. That's the president. That's at the Congress, the Senate. That's even your local mayor has a.
How do you feel about people talking about civil war?
I think that's stupid.
Okay, now we agree. Now we agree.
So stupid.
That's
ignorance.
So
that's
stupid.
Ignorance.
Okay, I think it's stupid, and it's also it trivializes like the real Civil War, which was really fought for like real, actual civil rights for people. You know what I mean? Because right now, we pretty much have all our rights, other than like we have to wear this diaper on our face when we go to the store. Other than that, I mean, we still have all our freedoms and rights. So like, to go fighting some civil war to me is like it's really trivializing the idea of what a civil war is.
Right. I mean, it's just like some of the states wanting to secede from the Union. There's only 2 or 3 states that actually have it within their state constitution, the right to secede from the Federation.
Okay.
All the rest are state constitutionally bound to be part of the union.
Okay, so Steve, I want to leave this on a point that we agree on.
Sure.
No civil war.
No
Okay,
civil
this is
war.
coming from two sides, guys. So don't be pulling your guns.
And one
out
of us
yet.
has a lot of guns, okay? So, and I'm not all for the civil war.
Steve, if there was a civil war and I was on the left side, I don't think I'd be much help. I can tell you that.
I don't think a lot of people on the left would be much help.
But you know what? At least I know. So, and at least I'm not a fighter. So I'm not trying to fight anybody. I don't believe in any war. I hate war.
And to do something like that over a difference of opinion and political viewpoint is about the same thing as having a civil war over a religious viewpoint within the country.
Have you been to war, Steve, in the Iraq or Afghan war?
I did 6 tours in the Middle East, and I went back as a civilian contractor for the army in Afghanistan. Right before I came back shortly before we did that film. They actually had hired me on the film as a consultant, and then gave me the part of that hardcore first sergeant.
Wow. So you were in the Middle East during some pretty hairy times.
Since Desert Shield, which was right before Desert Storm, I was in Somalia for the Black Hawk Down incident. I was in that theater of operation. I was in Africa at that time. I was actually in Mombasa, Kenya. But the Marines I was with, a lot of them went up to Somalia to support the rescue operation.
Wow. Well, that's so interesting, Steve. Thank you again for your service. And thank you so much for doing this interview. I really appreciate it. Everybody that watched, thank you so much for watching. I will be back every week with a different guest, and I'll have to bring Steve back again sometime, hopefully, to do another conversation. Okay. And this, by the way, was a lot more calm than I thought it would be. I mean, Steve, you're a lot more feisty on Facebook.
Well, that's because I can't directly interface with somebody. When you talk face to face with people, then you can kind of say like this, because people say a lot of stupid stuff on Facebook.
They sure do. you being one of them, Steve.
I get sort of.
But you know what? Me too. Me being the same.
That's a funny thing I want to bring up too on Facebook is that you're starting to mellow out.
I'm mellowing out.
You're mellowing out and sort of swinging a little more conservative in some of your thinking.
Am I? Well, Steve, if that's the case, it's because of this thing called getting older. And I will say that I don't think that's a good thing. I need to check myself. I need to start talking to some young people again.
Well, just remember, with age comes wisdom. I've got over 20 years on you.
Well, Steve, if that were the case, Trump would be very wise, and he's not. But thank you, Steve.
You're only as good as the people that advise you.
Steve, you are such a good sport for even doing this. Thank you so much. Check him out online, you guys. Steve Mcgovern. You can look him up. Check out his acting. He's been in several films. And like I said, he is a Navy Chief Petty Officer.
Right.
So
thank you very much.
Again, Steve, for giving us the talk today on Sham Talks.
Good thing. I'm glad to break your cherry there.
Oh, you did, Steve. It's broken. Thank you.
All right, man.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends. I hope to talk to everybody soon.